Yeah, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Welcome aboard the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by the great folks at Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington, on Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Jim Coyle with you, as always, here with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Charlie Miller will be joining us later or sooner, and Jim Reamer will be along. Plenty to talk about. The Masters wraps up. Matsuyama taking the title back to Japan. No one could just challenge him yesterday, man. He just played his game and couldn't be stopped. Mike Woodson says Indiana basketball is not finished with the portal. Indiana baseball stops a 5-game skid with a no-hitter. How about that? Indiana soccer is in the Big Ten semis. Holyfield set to return to the ring against Mike Tyson's last opponent that he faced in his regular career. So that'll be interesting to see. We'll see what else we can get popped up as the comments start coming in. If you're listening, you can always join us on YouTube, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Comment there or at the Andy Moore Honda hotline, 812-269-6367. Man, it's finally good for things to slow down a little bit, although they're not done. Indiana basketball, of course, has some spots to fill. As I just said, Mike Woodson says they're not finished with the transfer portal, which plenty of options. We'll go over those options as well. Some of the better ones. Kenya Hunter had done a good job recruiting while he was here, but I think his best asset was setting up the recruiting for when Archie Miller was fired and people would actually want to come play at Indiana again. Because as I continue to hear things, it's just amazing what I am hearing about Archie Miller, how there was just a complete disconnect with the players, that they felt he didn't give a crap about them as people. It was just about basketball, and that was it. Archie Miller's a weird dude. That's all I'm going to say. He's a weird dude, man. And I don't think it's a coincidence that both him and his brother are both out on their butts. I don't think it's a coincidence. So there's that. But hopefully the weather's going to warm up, man. It's a little bit too chilly for me. It was chilly and rainy over the weekend, but that's what this time of year does. I hope you guys had a good weekend. Got to get out. Hello to Jesse and Alan hitting us up on the message board. Hope you guys had a great weekend as well. What did you do over the weekend? I tried to do as little as possible. I was just waiting for the next shoe to drop. So fortunately, it didn't happen. It was more restful than anything else. But now things will start settling down. One of the things that we've been told is we're going to have a lot more access to Indiana basketball coaches, which was a non-factor in the last 4 years, unbelievably. It was horrible. But that's going to change, and looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting to talk to Coach Woodson and Dane on here as often as we can. It's weird to say that, considering Archie Miller is the only coach that did not appear. I had you want to hear something funny? I've had 2 former IU coaches on the show. Mike Woodson and Tom Crean have both come on prior to Mike Davis's appearance the other night. They've both been on the show. Not Bill Mallory, Tom Allen, Cam Cameron. You can just go down the line. Not Archie. Mike's jumping in, says he's sitting here laughing at the talking head who were just ripping the Woodson hire that are now singing his praises. Certainly wasn't me. I didn't rip it. I think it's at the end, it got them to where they were wanting to get to they swung the big stick. Couldn't get that to happen, which is what you got to do. But this was basically the best option. It really was. When you're looking at how it laid out. Yeah, the third coach, we're waiting for that to happen. Yasir Rosemont is supposedly that guy. He and I don't know a lot about him, but his presence is more in the South from what I have gathered. You've got Dane Fife, of course, who a great recruiter, known throughout the country, but solid ties in the Midwest. You've got Kenya Hunter, who is got the East Coast covered. Mike Woodson, of course, been in the NBA, but there you go. That's recruiting wise. I think Indiana, if that turns out to be the case, like I said, don't know a lot about him. Now, he was one of the people that were mentioned back in the day during the FBI investigation, one of the people that met with Christian Dawkins, but nothing ever happened with him. Tim says, how does Cincinnati fire a coach so quickly, but others in NCAA Valley is still coaching? Seth Miller just finally hit. Well, because I don't know what their investigation showed, but I think they did an internal investigation. That's why. It didn't have anything to do with cheating. It had to do with other things. So it was easier for them to be gone with him. The Sean Miller thing, I think, involved FBI information that they had to wait to get, that they did not have themselves. So they did not per se have the proper information. But again, I don't dig into them. Another question from Ed, is Mike Roberts going to be on staff? Well, from what I've been told, yes, he is, but not as a coach. I don't think he's not going to be an assistant coach. But is he going to be on staff? Yes. From what I have been told, he will be on staff, as will Brian Welsh, who's the current director of basketball operations at Debo. I would surmise they might move Mike Roberts to the Debo position and move Mike Welsh to something else, but that's just me guessing because of a hierarchy thing. Don't know. We'll have to wait and find out. But yes, I believe that they're going to remain on staff. I would guess that they keep the strength coach as well. Archie's not going to have a job anytime soon for him to go anywhere. And I don't know that either of Dane or Mike Woodson has a guy that they, want to bring in. And Cliff has a relationship with the players, probably a much better relationship than Archie did. I would certainly guarantee you that. So I would not be surprised to see Cliff retained. Although I really, sometimes I wonder, man, Indiana seems to absorb a lot more injuries than the average team for some reason. Maybe it's coincidence. I'm not sure. But that's why Cincinnati did it, Tim. Is Mike Roberts, let's see. Corey hits us up, says Woodson said he wants 3-point shooters. Yep. Franklin leaving. Parker coming in. Are we in the same boat with one decent 3-point shooter at the point? Well, they're not done in the portal also. So that's what he means. I would not be surprised to see a shooter is one that is particularly brought in. And one of the options that we're looking at, we'll get to those in a little minute. I was going to try to go over that with Charlie when he got here. But we will look at those options. But a shooter is definitely something that Indiana is going to be bringing in without question. But Parker Stewart is a guy that can handle that, but you still need someone that can do it off the ball. Where was I? I got too many boards open, or windows open, rather. But Matt Bradley at the top of the list, man. He signed a letter of intent with California, but this guy is a 40% career 3-point shooter on 5 attempts per game. So he's putting the ball up. Averages 15 points a game after averaging 17 points and 18 points the past 2 seasons. So this guy is a consistent scorer. You've got Josh Nickelberry, who was at Louisville. He spent 2 seasons there, mostly on the bench, dealing with injuries. this would be an easy move for him. A couple of guys at Illinois, with DeSamu leaving, I'm surprised, but Coleman Lands hit the portal, as did Adam Miller. Both of those guys are shooting guards. Miller was expected to be a high-impact player as a freshman, but ended up being used as a spot-up shooter. He wants to be more on the ball, uses primary ball handler, so not sure how that'll fit in. But Lands, he's entering his 7th year in college basketball. 7th from Illinois. Next year will be. He was originally part of the 2015 class. He spent his time in Illinois, DePaul, and most recently at Iowa State. He is a career 37% career shooter from three-point. So there are options out there. Lots of options, and we'll see what they end up. But they had those open scholarships already, so there's space. And with Dane Fife coming in, I see no problem getting that filled. I mean, things are just going to be different. It's a different mindset. It is a different day. It's a different view. I mean, it's like a gigantic cloud has been lifted off of the program. So talking to recruits is going to be different. Coming here is going to be different. I think you're going to see a lot more, and it's not to make a lot more of what you see with the Indiana football program. And I had a conversation yesterday, and that was a point of the conversation, was how it was with football and the basketball team. They saw that. They saw the interaction with Tom Allen and his players. And that was not even close to what was going on with Indiana basketball. And trust me, that has an effect. It became miserable, but those days are gone. Dane Fife is probably, knowing what we've learned, Dane Fife is probably the best guy to have brought in for these kids, for these players. Shouldn't call them kids, these players. He is going to be a completely different sounding board to them, as well as a coach. They're going to know that he's someone that they can count on, that's someone that does care about them. It's just a huge, huge difference for them. But we got to take a break. Hopefully when we come back, Charlie will be with us. You're listening to the Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this. Your fans, whether you're looking for a new or a used vehicle, Andy Moore. That sounded like.
I reached out to Charlie, and he said perfect. I said, you join whenever you can, and he still hasn't joined. But if you want to shoot him a text, you might want to do that.
He's probably thinking that Don Fisher's still on.
Gotcha.
A lot quieter in here when you're by yourself.
Yeah.
What else have you been able to do differently? Have you noticed?
I mean, really, all the experiment I've done so far was just making sure that I could do the stuff that you asked me to do this weekend, like with the WREF stuff. It's nice just having something that doesn't have all of my personal stuff on it, like using this solely as a work computer. I think that's going to be really nice. So. But here later this week, I want to start messing with different music beds and trying to figure out what we can do for an intro.
There you go. We're not alone. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate all you guys. Mike says, we're not alone, Jim. Charlie's coming. Yeah, Don takes his hiatus during the summers.
So he'll come back when football starts back up?
Oh, yeah. He comes back in September. September 1st or August 31st.
West Baden, Indiana. You'll find great places to visit, to stay, to dine, and to play. We offer an up-close animal encounter with elephants and giraffes, lodging that is out of this world, world-class golfing, and a premier resort experience that is waiting for you on your next visit to French Lick, West Baden.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with you as always on this Monday. Waiting for Charlie Miller to join us. Watched the Masters over the weekend. It's kind of a different Masters. You had Zalatoris, the kid trying to chase. He would have been the first since Fuzzy Zeller in '79 to win the Masters in his first appearance. And got to be honest with you, I wasn't pulling for him because I talked to Fuzzy the other day. I tried to have him on the show Friday, and he said, "Sorry, Jimmy, I'm going to be in the Everglades. There's no service out there." He's going to be in the Everglades fishing. That's where Fuzzy went after the Champions Dinner at Augusta. But Matsuyama with the win, man, it's a gigantic for Japan. I can't imagine that is such a big deal for them to win that. First male to win a major ever. Let's see. It said comment over here a minute ago. What was it? This saw something that got it. Yep. Woodson does want 3-point shooters, but Corey says, what's the best tune-in radio station to listen on? Try WREF 97.7. Ooh, I didn't think about that, tune-in. But they're not on until they run it later in the day. So, but welcome back, and I hope everyone had a great weekend. What did you guys do for the weekend? What are you now that basketball's over, with the exception of trying to find out what's going on? What are you guys doing sitting around waiting for next? There is spring football. Can you believe that? We have spring football for the teams that didn't play last year, the conferences that didn't play, as we wait for Indiana to name out their third assistant. You got Larry Brown. What's going to happen with Larry Brown? Is he going to become I haven't heard any more about that, but it would be interesting. He would not be a coach again, not as a coach. There's no way you would want him as a coach on here because of his baggage, but you damn sure would want him with his brain. He's got a basketball mind that would be very good for Mike Woodson and Dane Fife, to be honest with you. I mean, I promise you, Dane would love picking his brain. Tim says, Kenny Payne leaving is the reason for UK's downfall. Well, we'll see. Major YMCA soccer match. Tom, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Julia, thank you for that. The IU baseball team ended a 5-game skid. Man, that may cost them getting into the tournament, but they broke that with a no-hitter against Illinois. Then they win again, so they've won 2 games in a row, but they're going to struggle to make it into the NCAA tournament this year. It depends on what the NCAA decides to do because there's no Big Ten tournament. If they take the top 4, they will assuredly get in, but it's going to be tough for them to get up into that top 2 spot, that second spot, after losing those 5 games in a row, man. That was just unexpected to see that. Tony, hit up the French Lick. Did you do any good down at the French Lick Casino? I'll be there in 2 weeks, so I'm looking forward to that. Russell hit us up and says, has the bridge between the old and the new started? I believe so. Absolutely. No better guy to ask perfect timing than that is Charlie Miller. Charlie, Russell just asked, has the bridge between the old and the new started?
I'm the bridge, I guess, right? I just came in there. So
you are the bridge.
I say, check it out, man. And I'm ready to go, Jim. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready this morning. I say yes. Here's why. Because think about the generation, right? And I'm not. And again, you got to think about also the coaches that were not a part of Coaches Knight's tree. I consider Mike Davis under Coach Knight's tree for a tiny small piece. But now you've got this gap from almost like 76, 80s to the 2000s. That's going to galvanize players. Players are going to want to come back. Giving people inside information. There's an email that started about a year and a half ago. I think because of that, and it was from the IU basketball, alumni association in a sense. They sent out emails to update us. Who's coming back, taking pictures, who's in the locker room doing things. So I'm starting to see that push. So that's a positive thing. I think that's going to be a big impact on these players too, to understand not necessarily the tradition, but what it means to put on that uniform and to play with passion every possession. Forget the game, every possession.
Yeah, David said he had a better time watching the hires and who IU is trying to offer scholarships to than he did watching the games this year. So that shows that it's coming back. People are ready for it to move forward. They're ready. And I just talked about, you talk about doing all this. Dane Fife having Larry Brown come in, that's going to be great for a Dane Fife. I mean, soaking in some of that basketball knowledge. He's been around, Izzo and all these other guys, but Larry Brown is just a basketball mind. They're setting Dane Fife up for future success.
My whole point. It's a GPS thing with him, man. That's me. It's game plan for success. I guarantee that vision, right? I don't want to jump too far, but I'm more than certain that vision is you are head coach material. We have to groom it. We have to develop it. You are. I don't see that as, to me, I'll be shocked if that was not talked about. Yet we want to stay present, talk about what we have to do as a staff. But I'm more than certain I think that's what it's about. Because, I mean, even with Dane and where he's at, man, you got over now 60, 70, 80 plus years of playing experience on that staff. And also coaching experience, right? Because Larry Brown was at the Carolinas, the Kansas, and he's been all over.
Wow.
He's close to Iverson's. You got to think about that, right? Got an idea. If Larry Brown influences the offense, I definitely have an idea as to what we're going to do, being more dynamic. And it's a play that a lot of people are running now, which it's very effective because it puts players in space. It's a player development offense. If that's what Coach Mike Woodson's about, and I know Larry Brown's about player development as well. I saw him at SMU. Remember, he was here at SMU for a little bit. So we'll look and see him a little bit. So
how different this offense these last 4 years was. It was painful to watch, excruciating. It was scripted. It was just, we all know. How different can people expect what they're going to see next year? I mean, and you just talked about some of it, getting players out in space, opening the offense up, making it more creative. But I mean, what they're going to see is going to be a drastic change. I mean, not drastic as in like Harlem Globetrotters trying to do all this stuff, crazy stuff, but it's going to be drastic from what they've seen for 4 years.
Yeah, I feel, again, just thoughts, right? I think you're going to see more player movement, ball reversals. I think you're going to see Trace more active and engaged instead of a 4-out, 1-in. I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see more movement. And again, to me, it's not about making decisions offensively more than you understand your layer progressions on offense, just like a football player. Nothing against it. I'm a running back. I know where the play needs to go. I got to follow my block. And sometimes I got to break that in an instinct. And I think that's what you're going to see more And the players may be apprehensive at first because the default way is to go back what you typically know. But I think they're going to break that because the words, the wisdom, what's already in them is going to come out. That's what I feel is going to happen. You're going to have the encouragement because, first of all, you got 2 pro guys, Larry Brown, Mike Woodson. They know. And the motto at the pro level was do what you do best and forget the rest. We brought you here to shoot. Brought you to attack. We brought you to do these things. Because if you lose the right, and all of a sudden you can't say it's my fault, it's coach, it's the offense, defense. No, do what you do best and forget the rest. That's going to be the model for me towards these players.
Yeah, there are guys that they just have a job. Dennis Rodman, he had a job. His job was not to score.
Right.
And I know he's a great example, but there are still examples like that today in the league. Their job is not to score. It's to rebound or to defend.
So watch this. You talk about Dennis Rodman, right? Now, I don't want to say anything, I don't want to take what you said. Dennis Rodman, when he was in junior college, was a scorer. What he figured out, again, see, this is the part. The figure out part, ladies and gentlemen, is what keeps you is longevity. When you figure out that niche, that a lot of people are that people are willing to do because it's not sexy. See, we don't need to be sexy. And I think that's the mindset sometimes of players. I'm not going to also a rant of young players. They think it's the big stuff. No, it's the small stuff that makes a huge impact over time. Dennis Rodman figured out if I can rebound the basketball better than anybody else, I can play this game as long as I want to. And he did.
Tennessee sent, did you know that Christian Lander had a higher 3-point percentage last year than Armand Franklin had in his freshman year? That's a great point to put out because Christian was put under immense pressure this year. First of all, he reclassified. And so he was under immense pressure. He was not, he shouldn't have been playing the minutes that he was forced into playing because they were short-handed. So that's a great sign to me for him. I mean, I think that they can get that worked out for him. But that's a great stat, man. Thank you.
Well, it is a great stat, and let's not take away. He's young, but guess what? He signed up. He left early. So, hey, he's a part of the process. And the process is they all got to get better. So you can look at Armand Franklin's 3-point shooting percentage versus Christian's this year. I think Christian's pressure came into the shot selections and when he shot the 3 ball. And it looked uncomfortable because it was a rush. It wasn't in flow. I think it was like when all inside out broke down, you got to put up a shot versus, again, I feel there might be a slight difference now on when to get that shot off.
Chris asks this question. How did you wind up in Indiana being a highly rated player from Miami, Florida?
I still ask myself that question every day. How in the hell? Let me give you a story. I remember we were playing in Orlando my junior year, and
That's a great question.
I'm asking a question. We were in Orlando my junior year, and playing in the tournament, and I forget we were like at Florida Gulf Coast or something like that, practicing whatever. And Brian, I was like, man, why the hell you left this to come to Indiana? Brian's like, man, why'd you leave this? Well, hey, check it, man. I could have gone to any school I wanted to. I had favor, right? And if you want to really know my first choice, it was Michigan. I spent time.
What's even worse?
I know. I'm just giving you the backdrop. I spent time my junior year in high school, one summer there. I would play with some of the Fab Five guys at night. I would go to camp by day, and then at night we're playing. I would play with all those guys. I remember spending time with Juwan Howard, the recruiting stuff, all that stuff. It was, I think I said this, if I didn't, it was Coach Felling. Something about Coach Felling when he came to see me play in Vegas. And then he came to visit like the following week back in Miami. And I was just intrigued by the opportunity to play for Coach Knight as well.
Coach Felling, I don't know that people realize how many people he was responsible for finding.
Oh yeah.
Calvert Cheney. I think Calvert Cheney is one of those.
Yeah.
And you would know way more than I do, but I know that he is responsible for bringing in some of the big names in Indiana basketball.
Again, so this is the thing about it. This is why I always rant about and praise about our basketball managers. We only see the head coach. The head coach gets the credit. They also get the blame. Totally get it. But what we don't see is the underworkings. And a lot of underworkings are the coaches are relying on the assistant coaches, the managers, to put together the game plan, right? And Coach Felling, I mean, even Coach Dawkins, but Coach Felling was the main recruiting coach, right? So he was responsible for a lot of talent that's come through. And Coach Felling has always had an eye for shooting. We call him the shot doctor. Coach Felling had an eye for shooting, man. He was one of the most winning coaches in Illinois high school basketball history. Okay. So there was a pedigree Coach Felling had, right? So, but unfortunately how things unfolded, but yeah, it was Coach Felling.
That's amazing. Yeah, but he certainly has landed his great land of talent. Let's see. Did you see that Yogi signs with the Lakers, man? How about that?
That's good
for him.
He's a pro, right? And that's a part of the motto. And when you are a commodity, I'm not saying he's not an asset, but when you're a commodity, that's good. You still have an opportunity to trade. And I think the Lakers are looking for personnel. I think they're trying to figure it out. I don't know if they're trying to milk Anthony Davis's and LeBron James's injuries. I don't know if they're milking it and saving. Who knows, right? But that's good. That's good. I'm hoping he gets some playing time and he gets some good looks.
Yeah, Chris said, where I lost Chris ones. Let's see. He said that.
Who's my main connect on the coaching staff?
No, I had a different. Well, that was a different one. Yeah, that was Ron Felling, I'm assuming. So I kind of skipped on that. But he said that who was it? James Harden would have averaged 10 points a game in Archie's offense, and he averaged 32 points as a senior.
Hey, no, he wouldn't have. No,
he's still getting his shots up, wasn't he? He's still gonna get his shots.
First of all, James Harden would have been in the transfer portal before the transfer portal was even invented. That's not even. James got to get 20 shots off the bus.
It'd be called a Harden portal.
Yeah, that's that portal. We'd have been like, man, he's a pioneer. That's a maverick. That dude started something we've never seen. Yeah, that way. Yeah. But, but think about this. You get a player like now. See, as much as we talk about him getting all those shots, think about the production on offense he creates. I know he gets the bad rap for shots. But that's why Kyrie said, if we follow the league or players, Kyrie said, you are the point guard, I'm the two. Because James Harden's a playmaker. As much as he shoots the ball, he gets people in position to score the ball.
Chris said he'd see you around campus as a freshman, always around Neil Reed.
We were roommates. We everything we did was together. We were roommates. We left Reed dormitory the same time to go eat. Go walk the campus, go to practice.
So Neil Reed lived in Reed Hall?
We lived in Reed Hall.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. When we come back, here's a great question. What would you have done if you've not pursued basketball? We'll do that when we come back. I'll let you think about that. Let that soak in for a minute. Back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda, right after this.
Welcome to your extraordinary.
Yeah.
Good, man. How was your weekend, Jim?
Relaxing, man. How about you?
I tell you what, it was roller coaster. We had started back coaching my teams, and I got a girls squad and a boys squad. And girls squad, we had a decent weekend. The boys squad, we had a learning lesson weekend. And we played up a grade level we shouldn't have, and it showed, man.
But when my daughter was playing soccer, she graduated now, she's done now. But they would get their ass kicked all the time, but they were always playing up. I tell her, I'm like, just wait. I said, just take it. I said, just take it. I said, I know it's no fun. I said, but it's gonna be the opposite in a little while. Just wait.
Exactly.
But it ain't no fun. But it ain't no fun getting that butt kicked.
It's not fun going through when you see the somber faces, but I'm sharing with them, hey man, guys, don't be selfish. Don't shut down. This is the time to communicate. This game does matter. The win-loss does matter, but you got to do all these little small things we keep talking about. So, but no, overall it was a good weekend, man. Overall, really good weekend.
Somebody just thought about, all right, we need to get you, Jordan, Verdell. Who else has got all three of y'all got AAU stuff going on?
It's good. Yeah, that'd be good.
I mean, it'd be hard for you, but man, I wish we could get because Verdell's coming to Indianapolis. I know he was just in Indianapolis. He's coming. Oh, he's coming to Louisville for something.
Okay.
An event, an AAU event.
Okay. Yeah.
But is there anybody else? IU guys that, or you may be the only three.
I'm not sure. Yeah, that I know of. That I know.
That's all I can think of.
Yeah. And I don't, man. I would love to do something in the near future where we even do like a basketball camp, with the radio show involved. See, I talked about that. I talked about that when we first started. When we do something in Bloomington, when we do like a radio show event and Indiana Sports Beat basketball camp and do it at a
all right. Looking for a new or used vehicle? Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington's got you covered. They're Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Talk about that for deals like this. How about a new 2020 Honda Civic LX front-wheel drive lease for just $180 a month, or a new 2021 Honda Accord LX front-wheel drive lease for just $270 a month. Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Monday. Man, I bet it's a lot warmer where you are, Charlie. I'm pretty certain about that.
Yeah, it's springtime. It's kind of like cool, but it's not Indiana, so I'm gonna take credit for that.
46 degrees.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, you all had that. You had your snap of cold. How did everything work out? Okay, everybody get out of the harm's way through all that stuff.
It did, man. You know what? And to hear the stories about people who one, they say somebody's pool's pipes burst. I mean, that's still a luxury, but yeah, people are dealing with that still, or houses flooded. That wasn't, that I heard that a lot. Pipes burst, houses flooded, so people had to live in hotels for weeks, but everything seems to be getting back to normal.
Thanks, Russell. We appreciate you, man. John says, in hindsight, I'm amazed dudes even wanted to play for Archie, the horrible grind out offense. Well, I am too, but I don't think they realized it.
Yeah, when you're going through, that's tough to say because I mean, you're in that locker room and you're in it and you are looking to do your best. And I think at hindsight 2020, right? I mean, and I'm fortunate that was the cause of Coach Miller not being here anymore, So, and what the players are going to do, what they're assigned to do, to be honest with you.
Yep. Trent or Tennessee says, I think Calvert would be great. He has the most personal accolades, pro assistant coach under Jim Cruz of St. Louis. He would have Evansville area. So, absolutely. I don't know where Calvert wants to go. Does Calvert want to go pro coaching? Is that a direction he wants to go? Not everybody wants to coach in college, man. It's a different beast. The coaching is different slightly, but it's the other stuff. You have to recruit in college. You do not have to recruit in the pros, man. You got somebody that does that. A GM supplies the players.
And here's two aspects that we need to put in consideration, Jim. I'm gonna go with the bomb. You got to teach. You got to teach, and it's relationship. And I'm not saying it's not that in the NBA. You're not spending a lot of time with those players in the NBA. Practice is not long. If you're on the road, I mean, it's a walkthrough. But you got to teach in college. I mean, because you're talking about shaping and molding every single day, right? And the relationship part too. You got to get to know your players. I'm not saying that I don't know Calvert that well, but I'm not saying that he's not there. But That's what Coach Woods going to have to do. I think that's why you got somebody like Dan, Dane on staff. You're going to have to give it to these young people.
You have to be a parental figure.
That's right.
You're not a parental figure, and you're not a father figure in the NBA. Now, there may be, and every now and then, there's the kid that comes along.
Of course.
That you have to do that you need to put your arm around and protect him a little bit. But generally, the NBA is for men, and that's what you got, men. And it's a different deal. So I just don't know which way Calvert wants to go. We'll see. But thanks for the comments, man. We love them. Sean says, Charlie, if your child was being recruited today as a parent, what would you say to guide your child through the process? What would be the most important to you as a father? That's a great question. We're getting some great questions today, man.
You're right on. Here, first of all, you got to build your skill. Let's not even kid yourself. You need to have skill, right? Because here's the situation, Sean, and this is what I'm seeing a lot of. And no disrespect to the people in the portal. It's like when players are not getting their way or they're averaging all these points, but yet it does not work out for whatever reason. The portal is like this thing that I can go to and not be faulted by the coaches. So one, be certain on where you want to go, but build your skill. Be ready to play. Be well-rounded. Whatever that one thing you do well, like JB recruitment, if it's CJ Gunn who can shoot it, if it's another player who can attack, do what you do best. Also, get ready to be scrutinized. Everyone's not going to be on your side. It's okay. All right. Use that feedback. Don't just accept it. Use it to get better. And ask questions.
I'm afraid the portal is going to allow for too much selfishness.
Yeah.
Because it allows the players who are being challenged.
Yes, a lot of leverage.
It allows them to, if they're being challenged, they have an easy out where they didn't have that out before. And I guarantee you how many, and I'll just use Indiana as an example just because it's probably a high example, but how many kids, if it had been available, would have bolted, but are glad beyond belief that that wasn't there and that they stayed. I promise you, it would be. Yeah. There's going to be so many kids. I think Armand Franklin personally made a mistake, but that's on him. That's for him to do. I don't see what he gained. I really don't. But again, that's his decision. I'm not criticizing him for it. Yeah. But I just think the portal, when you're this young, I promise you, you're not in a position to make wise decisions.
Hey, man.
Especially gigantic life-altering decisions. And that's what's going on right now.
Hey, if you would have said that to me when I was 20.
Yeah.
You think you're making decisions, dude? You're making a feeling choice. You're not making a priority choice. And I'm not saying it's wrong or right. Because you can look at the success of the kid who left and went to Arkansas. Oh, look what they did. That's cool. That's cool. I'm not saying it's not going to work out. But that is an out, I feel, versus sticking it out. Because if you would have had something like that back in our day, it had to have been secretive. Because, it would have almost been like you'd have had a big T on your forehead the whole time, and people looking at you differently, because you did that. But yet, this is where we are in today's game. So I don't fault it. It is what it is. The evolution of it. You got to work with it.
Did we answer this question? Did I cut you off? I can't.
No,
remember.
I answered it.
Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't. I want to make sure I didn't interrupt you.
So. Yeah, I talked about being skillful and being able to accept criticism and use it.
They're pounding up the Andy Moore Honda hotline today. Chris asked if you can be honest. How was Richard Mandeville as a player? He was so highly touted coming from California. I remember he could shoot it from range.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest. Richard was a great player. It's a situation, right? And I think, like a lot of us, we wanted, I feel we wanted to please the coaches and we wanted to seek the coaches' approval versus just playing our game. I know I got caught up into that several times, right? And then just because you as a young person, as you just said, Jim, as a young person, that's what happens to a lot of players. You start seeking people's approval. Start playing to your feelings versus just playing to your priorities, right? It's easy to say now on this other side of success, I would say, but that's what happened to Richard and a lot of us.
Getting some names from Blast from the Past today, man. How about Rob Hodgson? You remember him? I don't remember that name, man.
Yeah. So Rob Hodgson, actually, okay, so story. Rob's dad knew Coach Knight from West Point. And Rob was from the New York area, Jim. And Rob, we were all roommates. It was Neil Reed, God bless him, Andre Patterson, myself, and Rob. All four of us lived together our freshman year. Rob, whatever he was told on his recruiting trip, I think he kind of started to wear his emotions. He just wasn't feeling it, man. So he left even before the season started, right? So I mean, he didn't even last a preseason, right? You know, in the condition that he ended up going to Rutgers, Jim.
Yeah, and someone mentioned that on there. So, you know, I don't know if you know this. Did you know that Larry Bird originally came to Indiana?
Yeah, I remember a story. Man, let me tell you, man. I remember a story.
I just didn't. Since you're not from Indiana,
no,
I
man.
know if you knew that.
I remember Quentin Buckner told me, man. Like, man, we played in the Gus Macker. He said we played in the Gus Macker. He said, man, Larry Bird was out there in some Converse. And man, that dude was diving on the floor for the ball. He was they in the Gus Macker, they played right in the parking lot.
Oh, yes, I played in one. It's asphalt.
Now I know it was I knew it as Memorial Field. What is it called now? The football field. What do they call it now? Yeah.
It's Memorial Stadium, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They played the Gus Macker there. That's where
wow.
the Macker would be right in the parking lot. And say Bird came out there, cut off
shorts, blue jeans, probably
jean shorts.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
Cut off jean shorts and some Converse and was out there just balling. But I know he didn't, for whatever reason, he couldn't take it. No, I'm not sitting out here. He couldn't take it. And when put up with Coach, right?
The story was that he was from such a small place, and so they roomed him. I forget who it was, but whoever it was they roomed him with was from an affluent family.
Right.
He had like big closet full of clothes, and Larry's got a garbage bag full. He's wearing jean shorts and junky shoes. Exactly. Can you imagine if he was on that freaking 75, 76 team?
But could you imagine this? He may not be the Larry Bird that we know.
I don't know, man.
Hey, man. Hey, but he on that 76 team. Wow. I mean,
my favorite part of that is Larry Bird says his mom, when he left Indiana and went home, his mom wouldn't talk to him for 5 months.
Yeah.
Let's see. What time? I'm going to make sure we're not over. All right. So there's a lot of mention of Keon Brooks. I don't know if he has not hit the transfer portal. I don't know that that's going to happen. That's, him and Trace Jackson Davis are good friends, but it doesn't always mean a lot. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's see, Chris, the class that was part of the highest national class in the history of, that was Calvert's class, man. Mm-hmm. Leary and Graham and all those guys. So tons going on, but yeah, it's this summer we're going to hopefully have AAU back. Like you said, you've got stuff going on different than last year. Yeah. Going into the fall, how huge of an impact is that going to be for you guys? Because not having it, did you see coming back this year? Have you seen? Can you see the layoff?
Yeah, man, you've seen a lot of players. I mean, even talking to another head coach, actually assistant coach at the D1 level, just injury. A lot of players are getting hurt. Just kind of being inconsistency. A lot of that. You can see a lot of lag. You can see, and again, not even to the fault of the player. It's just they didn't have access to courts to work out. Some places were restricted. So that's why I think there's going to be a wrap-up process, and you hope slowly but surely you see back to consistency. But overall, I think there's an excitement, and I think there's a hunger at that. I think, you could take stuff for granted or as granted. And I'm seeing a lot of players now take it as granted, as a gift, to have the opportunity to understand what it means to play with passion all the time.
Yeah, John says he'd like to have a sharpshooter rather than Keon, but there's Jerome Hunter. Man, he does not get talked about. I don't know what.
I like Jerome. I'm a fan of Jerome. I just think he has been, and we don't talk about him at all, right? And we don't talk about Rob either. Nothing against him, but I like those two guys. Jerome, I root for. When I'm watching Jerome play, I want him succeeding, man. I don't think he gets talked about enough. But I think, to me, if you talk about a player who can who's an X factor, I think Jerome can be an X factor because of his size. Who he can guard the smalls, the bigs. He can play in a perimeter. You can put him inside. Kind of, a little bit. So I'm a fan of Jerome's.
I think people are going to be surprised, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's a truth, but you're going to see an increase in talent in Rob Finney and in Jerome Hunter.
Yeah.
There's no way you're not with the coaching talent that is going to be around them now that just wasn't around them before. I think that Jerome has a lot of raw talent, man.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Keon Brooks. You're going to talk about Brooks. They're the same type of player.
Right.
So we'll see. But it's definitely – they've got athletic talent to work with, and I think that they'll get it turned around.
Yep.
Chris said, Charlie's class included players from all over the country, from Florida to Texas, all the way to New York. Pat Knight just to talk about how good you guys are going to be. Yeah, that was a different in recruiting then. It went away from the regional type recruiting.
Yeah.
It was more spread out that time.
And again, Coach Felling was the key. Yeah. Coach Felling, Andres from Abilene, Texas.
Spotting talent is seeing talent is a gift. I mean, not everybody can do it. I talk about Tom Crean. Tom Crean could do it. Now, he had a lot of misses, but you usually do when you do that. But he had more misses than he should have, I think. Ron Felling didn't have as many misses, but Tom Crean, he found OG, he found Vic, he found Juwan, and those guys that are playing in the league. 8 out of the 9 or 7 out of the 9 guys in the league right now are Tom Crean guys. So spotting that talent and developing that talent is not something everybody can do.
No, and that question comes down to first, can he play? Can he play at a level? Can he follow instructions? Can he do this? It's constant questions, right? And again, to me, just like on the court, we always talk about finding our hands and feet for balance, coordination, repetition. You got to find your eyes. It's an eye search. It's an eye thing. It's a trust of the gut. It's watching them play and trusting that they're going to help you win games and whatever they want to do next level, whether it's coach or play. Trust that that's going to happen, progressively.
And there's guys that we haven't seen yet. I mean, we've seen them, Anthony Leal. But what are they going to now? How are they going to change and evolve now with this? You've got Jordan Geronimo, who is an athletic beast.
Right.
Where's he going to go? In what way? So there's just talent that we don't know how well it's going to be developed yet right now.
Well, here's something that's interesting for me that I thought of. I just want to share this. So Coach Woodson just left the New York Knicks, right? And there's been a transformation of one player in particular from the New York Knicks that's, I think, made a difference. And that's Julius Randle. Julius Randle came into the NBA more as a slasher, more as a defensive player, athletic player. What happened over this last preseason season? He's now a all-star. He also now can shoot the three. Don't be surprised if you don't see Trace's game emulate Julius Randle. Not saying three ball, but they're
jump shot
similar in physique, in athleticism. And now who better than Coach Woodson to say, hey, look what he did. And I mean, that's what made him an all-star. Julius Randle have a hell of a year. Okay. So for me, I think that's a great model for Trace, because I think if Trace wants to play long-term, you just can't attack all the time. You got to learn how to shoot it, right? And you got to be willing to shoot that basketball.
Yeah, and Coach Woodson's already said, he's already laid out the things publicly that we all knew that Trace has to work on. His offhand, his jump shot.
That's right.
Where Archie just ignored it. And you can't ignore it. You want to be better? And so he's going to be better because of it.
Right.
I agree with you. I think a lot of these guys, I think all of them are going to be markedly better. They're not going to become all-stars, but they're going to find roles and be able to perform those roles in a productive manner. That was the kick on the offense last year. It was what is the point to what they're doing? So many times it didn't look like there was an end result.
Yeah. There's a cultural code, Jim, and I think the culture, I think, it's almost like if there's no excitement to look forward to, I'm not saying this was the case, I don't know, but if there's no excitement to look forward to what's to come next, and there's change, I think the culture code was just, it just was low. To me, it was low, right? And I mean, just the demeanors, watching them play. So I'm thinking there's going to be an excitement because there's going to be an element of it's different, right? It's going to be a different script this coming preseason, off season as well.
John asked a question: could you play race and trace at the same time, and should you? I think that depends on. I don't know if they're going to run a 3-guard offense, and you're going to have a Jerome Hunter, a slasher type guy in there, or you're going to have 2 bigs in there with 3 guards. I think it gives you options to run different things.
You got. I think now almost like a hockey shift, right? You can shift. I'm just being real, right? You got different shifts. You got the pieces. We just got to pump the confidence. I want to see Race get more shots. I want to see him be more aggressive, right? I think he's a better player when he's doing that. And I know he had injuries down the stretch. I know he did. I know, I get it. But I want to see him. I think he's another catalyst, right? Also playing on the perimeter a little bit. I mean, he has the size, he has the athleticism, the skill set. So you got different shifts you can work with, Jim. You got pieces. I mean, I think the coaching staff is going to be very excited to work with these. That's the
thing is people are going to be so excited about is to see something different than the same vanilla that they saw unsuccessful last year. We got to hit a breakup. Jim Reamer is going to join us. We'll talk about some recruiting and some options that Indiana can look at the portal as well. Listening to us on from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Charlie Miller joining me here. Jim Coyle back right after this. Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking for a new or a used right on cue.
Perfect.
I was worried I was late.
Right on cue, man.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Doing well, man. How are you?
Good, sir.
What are we talking about today?
Oh, there's the portal. There's what's his name is coming. The coach, what's his name? Damn it. Flip, already forgot him. No, daggone it. Oh, Jim, what's the coach? Third coach that they
man, I'm not gonna look it up. Rosemont or
yeah. That's just the name. It's been I haven't seen anything really putting it down. Why though? Why him? I know he's got some success in the South, but
Indiana's the Florida of the Big Ten.
Are you jabbing me, man? Are you jabbing
what?
You jabbing me over here?
No, that's what we tell people. Talk about the Big Ten being like cold. I'm like, no, Bloomington's way warmer.
We're the Southest. We're the furthest southern point in the Big Ten.
No doubt, it's the Florida of the Big Ten.
I never heard that statement before. I'm going to start using it though.
Really? You guys have never heard that?
No, I have not heard that.
Who's the furthest north?
Well,
Minnesota.
Minnesota, unless Rutgers is some weird shift.
Yeah,
I think Minnesota would have them. Wisconsin's kind of close though.
It always intrigued me too. I didn't think about this, and it is what it is. But knowing Penn State, it was like, why would Penn State join the Big Ten? Like that makes no sense. But it makes sense now.
Well, there you go. Well, Rutgers did it for money, and Maryland did it for money.
Right. And that's why the Big Ten wanted them.
They wanted those markets, the Washington TV markets and the New York market.
And Penn State gets Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. So,
exactly.
And it's Penn State football.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Welcome to your extraordinary destination, French Lick, West Baden, Indiana. You'll find great places to visit, to stay, to dine, and to play. We offer an up-close animal encounter with elephants and giraffes, lodging that is out of this world, world-class golfing, and a premier resort experience that is waiting for you on your next visit to French Lick, West Baden.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sillersburg. You need a... Welcome back to the Golf Company Point Studios on this Monday. Jim Coyle with you, Charlie Miller as always, and joined by Jim Reamer from Courtside, Indiana. How's it going, Jim?
Doing well, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome.
You bet. Of course, plenty to talk about. Just the Masters wrapped up over the weekend. We haven't talked about that much at all. It was a very unexciting Masters. Man, they just could not catch Matsuyama. He just held on. It was kind of a weird Masters now that I think about it, but now I don't know if anybody really cares, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't watch any.
Yeah.
I don't watch golf. So.
Somebody. Now, I like to play golf. I say play.
Yep.
I say play. That don't mean I'm doing it. Somebody brought it up to me. I'm like, man, I was in the gym all weekend, so I don't nothing against it. I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Same here.
Yeah, I did. I didn't get to watch much of it, but just what I did, it just seemed like there was never any. I think that some of the names not having Tiger in it was a big miss.
And Dustin Johnson he didn't make the cut, right? I mean, like, who won it last year, right? So yeah. So I can see how it was probably unexciting.
But a lot of names being thrown about for Indiana, Jim, to fill some open spots they still have. Needs. Still think they need shooter. They need a shooter, a knockdown, for sure knockdown shooter. What thoughts that are out there on that?
I mean, I'd like it to be a bigger, like a somebody who can be a combo forward who has range, not unlike Hunter. Was used last year with Indiana. Wouldn't be bad to be someone more physical like Thompson, or maybe just Thompson stretches his range out. I mean, he's got good mechanics and I know he shot a low percentage and he didn't have much volume, but he looked good doing it. And I think that can translate easily with a little bit more emphasis and a little bit more work, which I'm sure that aspect of it he's getting.
Let's get Charlie some more eligibility. That stroke on, but that would be great. There's the talk of Brooks, which nothing is coming from that. He's not in the portal. I don't know that he's going to hit the portal. Even if he did, him being good friends with Trace Jackson Davis has been the impetus for that conversation mainly.
But he doesn't help them from a shooting aspect though, and he's got the similar percentage as Thompson at a much higher volume, and I viewed him as somebody you've got to guard out there. I've just never viewed him as a knockdown shooter, even in high school. So
the Nickelberry kid, did he come from Louisville? Where did he come from? Yeah, Louisville. Josh Nickelberry from Louisville. Spent most of the seasons on the bench with injuries. He didn't average a lot. He was known as a shooter coming out of high school, but he just shot 23% from deep in his 2 seasons at Louisville. So he certainly doesn't look to be one that fills that role either.
No, I had to look up his stats. I didn't even recall the name. You'll find if he's an out-of-state kid, meaning out of Indiana, I don't know much about him unless we played him. He shot 21 or 22% from three. And
a guy you're talking about
from 2.
Trey Mitchell is a dominant player for UMass in his 2 seasons there. He averaged 18 points, 7 rebounds a game. He's also a career 34% three-point shooter on 3.5 attempts per game at 6'9". So that's kind of there's your bigger guy that can shoot from outside. That's a potential there, someone like that.
Yeah, again, looking at his stats, he certainly statistically would fit the bill. I mean, if that's someone they're talking about, it'd be nice too if that guy could play, could guard multiple positions and be somebody that could play alongside 2 bigs. It changes the game a little bit. And again, Yeah, I like to see how Hunter develops defensively. That's a key. It'll be what changes Indiana besides just system in general, but in terms of what the personnel brings is Trace's range, Thompson's range, and Hunter's improvement on defense, and plus whatever obviously Parker Stewart brings to the table. Because I view Xavier Johnson as being a step up offensively from Franklin. But Stewart's the one kid, obviously, that was on the roster that didn't play, who could lend some additional production and shooting.
Well, certainly going to find out. And Trace seems to think that he's a great shooter. I mean, everything that he's from a teammate talked about, he really liked playing with him, Charlie, and that's a great importance when you have the confidence of your teammates and vice versa. That's a huge important part of that.
Now, ask a question. What was there? Was there something? Why didn't he play? Mark Stewart.
I don't know the true reason why.
Well, I think some of the initial reasons just transitioning. It was his third school.
Okay.
Obviously, he went to UT Martin, and then his father passed away. So I think there was some emotional things there. Pretty standard stuff. And look, coming in and throwing him into a season, you just never know what to expect. I mean, mid-year transfers are a tough sell anyway sometimes from a system standpoint. And
I think Archie's system is very, very difficult to grasp, especially coming in like that. It was virtually impossible as well.
Defensively, sure. Offensively,
you would think. But when you have to follow a script to a design order,
there was some talk of physical issues too. Like there was something where I saw something that stated he was, cleared to play or cleared to participate, but that was pretty early in January, so it wouldn't have hindered him from closing the year out. I just think when you consider all those different aspects of it, they just decided it was best to get him a fresh start.
True that. Makes sense.
Yeah, and his father passed away. It's the reason he transferred. He was his coach, Charlie, down at
right.
So he had that to deal with too, which is obviously a very devastating thing to deal with.
That makes sense.
But there's that. But yeah, filling in those pieces is going to be huge. But having the development that they're going to be getting is going to go a long way for these guys. I'm interested to see the type of offense they run next year. I'm interested to see defensively. What are they going to do? Because these guys have been so beat in the head with this pack line defense, and that's going to be just gone, which is probably just going to be a huge relief to them. But that's going to be a difference too.
Yeah, but the less you pack it in, the better you need to be. And I don't know how many of those guys were great defensively, and that's literally a statement of ignorance. I truly don't know because they didn't get a chance to show it. Fennessy was a good defender in high school, and Franklin certainly worked at it. I have no clue what his defensive prowess was coming in. I mean, he was obviously recruited by Crean, but then never got a chance to play for him. Stewart, you hate to pick on a kid you really haven't seen play live, but the defensive video on him and synergy is not great. And he needs to really improve, and you wonder if that's the situation of what type of team they had, but he would have really has to hunker down a little bit more defensively if he's going to play in the Big Ten and be successful, and so.
Well, that's the thing. You've got to recruit the type of players that can play in this league and get it done. Charlie, you know that it's not the A-10 and you have to have the right guys that can do everything that you need to do. But I think that they have enough talent there to be successful next season. And they're not going to go out and win the Big Ten. I'm not saying that, but they have the talent to be successful. They have the talent to be an NCAA team. They were almost that this year with the struggles that they had. So the talent is there. It's now you're going to have all of this change. Can you manage that with all the change? And talk about that when everything's going to change for them. Offense and defense is going to be a complete change. How difficult is it going to be for them to make that and be successful?
Well, I think the change is inevitable, like you're talking about. I think it's going to be really mentalities, right? What to do, how to do it. What's going to be crucial, I think, is like now. I'm glad that the coaching, I would say the majority of the coaches, the pertinent ones that are there. So I think there's probably some implementation of what to expect from a player standpoint, individual skill wise, what they have to do as a team concept, game concept wise. And I think it's the small stuff. I mean, it's like a begin again. How to play ball screens, how to go under it, how to read them, how to ice. All these things I'm saying, player development, what's happening on that court, the terms, how to make those adjustments in the game, the communication. So I think that might be something different. And again, it's a different thing. I don't think it's going to be something that they have not done before. It's just going to be different. And it's the sense of importance, not urgency to me. How important is it going to be to start these mentalities now and have them play out when the season starts? That to me is going to be the difference, the impact.
And terminology is important. It's undervalued in basketball as much as it's talked about in football. Right. Terminology is a big deal because basically what Charlie's saying is there's not a whole lot of uniqueness in basketball.
That's right. That's right.
And so everybody's doing something the same way somebody else is doing it.
Right.
The question is how quickly can they perfect the new way of doing it versus the way they did it before?
The way they did, and again, and Jim, I don't know, you know, Jim, and both Jims, you're fighting also what you know.
Yeah,
that's gonna be the tough part. Getting rid of what you know. Hey, man, here's a way. Can you accept it? Can you own it and have accountability? That to me is gonna be the challenge.
And you mentioned ball screens specifically, and that's the one area where, depending on how you do it, will completely change how the guy guards the ball.
That's right.
You know, initially, do you push him through? Do you bracket him? Do you? I looked a little bit into doing Beard's like shrink the box, shrink the court type, but the one reason why I didn't do it is because I wasn't in love with how they handle ball screens.
Understood.
And I thought it put the slow man in the area of the guy rejecting the ball screen.
Right.
And I didn't want the slow man to be baseline. Basically, is what I'm saying. So that was the only reason why I didn't try to implement it this year and stuck with. It's not really a pack line, but it's kind of a modified pack line. But it's something we can do the length of the floor if we need to.
We got to take a break. But did Parker Stewart play at Pitt before he played for his dad?
Yeah, just 1 year. Kind of not very. I mean, just his freshman year, not a huge impact.
But was he teammates with Xavier?
Probably. I can look it up real quick. I'm on.
That's what I'm trying to pull that up. That's we'll go ahead and hit a break, but we'll look that up in the break, and we'll be back with more here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Right after this. Hey, Hoosier fans! Whether you're looking for a new or
Parker was there 2017-18, averaged 9 points a game, so probably a little better than what I thought.
Okay, I've got 18-19. So when was
Xavier Johnson 2019 to 2021? So they did not. Yeah, they did. They played 1 year together. No, they did not. Parker was there 17-18, then he left. Johnson was there 18-19, was his freshman year. So they did not play together.
Well, where did Parker Stewart play after he left Pitt?
The transfer year, UT Martin.
Oh, he went to there.
Yeah, he had to sit out. Then he played last year.
I was thinking the other guy, yeah.
Yeah, sat out last year.
That would have been wild. What's the deal with Indiana keeps getting these Pitt guys, man?
Oh, shoot.
It has turned into that. Did Charlie disconnect himself?
I don't know what he did. He froze.
All I heard was, oh, shoot, and then he froze.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's not good. Good thing he's not on a rocket ship. That's not the last thing you want to hear. Oh, shoot. And you don't hear anything else.
The dark side of the moon.
Yeah. Oh, don't hit that button. Oh, man. AAU's about to bust out, man.
No, we had a really good set of practices this week, and I had fun yesterday. Sometimes I like practice more than games. I had a lot of fun yesterday. Kids are starting to get it. Huh?
Where were you?
We just practiced. We practiced at Carmel.
Who are you coaching a team?
Yeah, I've got sophomores.
Cardinal sophomores?
One of the
Or just
I got
AAU sophomores?
two good
AAU sophomores. Just a mix from different schools.
Correct. Yeah, but I've got 2 kids from Carmel.
What is it under a league or
Just my own program, Grassroots Indiana. We were with Under Armour for 6 years and 5 years actually. That got screwed up.
See, I don't know all the goddamn leagues. Damn it. All right. So how many do you all have under Grassroots Indiana?
Right now, just 2 teams. Normally, I would have as many as 6, but then I would be. My team would have been separate. Would have been like, because if I was with Nike for 10 years and then Under Armour for 5. So we started Grassroots Indiana as sort of a secondary program.
So what do you got, a 15 and under and what?
No, just two 16-year-old teams.
16s.
Because of COVID. Last year we didn't have any gym space. We had to use a private court.
Anxious or afraid,
and wasn't sure
there
this year
is hope. Reach
if we
out
would
to
have
someone,
the same court
connect with your
situation.
friends.
I didn't know I would
Stay
get
in
to
touch
use
with
Carmel
your
until
community and
sectionals.
know that you are not
So
alone.
we just did 2
Learn
teams.
more at
Going forward, we'll have anywhere from 4 to 6.
wearebroadcasters.com/hope.
Right,
Furnished
here we
by the
come back.
National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Monday. Jim Coyle with you as always. Charlie Miller as well, and joined by Jim Reamer. Charlie's trying to get back with us. He is.
There he is.
I just told Jim, I'm
I'm
glad you weren't on the Mars rover because the last thing we heard from you was, "Oh shoot," and then you were gone. I'm like, boy, you don't want to be on a rocket ship when you hear that.
Right.
Or any type of moving vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah.
When again, I said, "Oh shoot," and I caught it too, so I made sure I didn't put the it on there. So
well, we got the edit button, so it's all good.
No,
I forget what we were talking about when we left.
Parker Stewart, Xavier
Parker
Johnson.
Parker and Xavier playing together at Pitt.
They did not. Yeah.
Yeah, they missed it by a year, but man, Indiana sure had an influx of Pitt transfers over the last couple of years at guard, no less, all at guard. So
I need to apologize to Parker for he actually had a good freshman year, 9 points a game, shooting at 38.6% from 3. So, he definitely offensively made an impact his freshman year at Pitt. So,
and that's pretty big. I mean, doing that as a freshman, 38% from 3, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah. So I mean, that's in him. It's in him, right? You just hope, holistically, he's better. He's well-rounded, and ready to kind of get back into what he knows. So,
I think what worries me there is just the records of both teams. And I wondered if and then that was the point I was trying to make with his defense, the defensive film that I've had a chance to watch on him is, sometimes if you're struggling, you kind of get less engaged than I really just looked at the misses that he was guarding. It's a rough tape but it's also something that comes with level of expectation from coaches. So, I mean, that's going to have to change or he won't play. But I think they know that and they'll get him to do it and he'll be just fine.
John McClur's going to become our new stats guy. He can fire those stats out quicker than we can get it, man. He's been getting them. But there you go. He's got all that stuff in there I missed. But and then Parker transferred the year Johnson came in. So they, as you said, they missed each other. But that 9.1 average, that's impressive. I got to tell you, I did not know that, and that's pretty impressive. And it shows you that talent it can be pulled out of him, and I think that he just needs to be developed, and that's probably the best thing for both of them to come to Indiana now.
And as a freshman, he was getting. He was getting about 80% of his shots were from 3. So he was pretty much a niche shooter as a freshman, which that happens a lot to a kid. And then by the end of it, last year, his year at UT Martin, it was kind of 50-50 inside and outside the arc. So
his freshman record was 7 threes in a game. That's pretty good. I mean, that's something that Indiana hasn't seen in a long time. A guy that could do that as a freshman. I mean, who are we talking about? How far back do we have to go to think about Indiana, a guy from Indiana shooting a freshman shooting 7 threes. I mean, is it Eric Gordon? Is it that far back?
I mean, that would be the kid. That would be the one guy who would have the volume to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, the game changed quite a bit since he was in college, though. There's way more emphasis on threes.
And it's a different 3-point line, too.
Yeah. Even my thought was Jordy Hulls, who was obviously forced to play major minutes as a freshman, but he would be the caliber of shooter that could do that in a game. Didn't Matt Roth go crazy a couple times?
He did. He was definitely a shooter. John asked, no, that's the wrong one. It's John. Yeah, we talked about that. But he was asking if someone played against Chris, I guess about your teams, Jim, if they compete against Indy elite teams.
Oh, yeah, they do. We're part of we play in pretty big events, so we didn't get to do any of that last year.
Right. No, yeah, nobody did. It stunk. Let's see here. Tom was there. Been there. What is the appeal for a scoring guard to play in the? He's asking this about Armand Franklin. Yeah. I said it over. I don't understand it either, but maybe it's a comfortability thing. What's your thoughts? Why? I think it's a mistake for him. I don't think he gains anything, but it's whatever is best for him. Like I said, Jim, what do you think? What is he looking at that's is a better situation for him there?
Well, it's a system that does allow freedom. It's a system that a vast majority of their offenses run through the perimeter. I think when they get a guy like DeAndre Hunter, who's versatile on the floor, especially defensively, oftentimes they would put him as one of the blockers, and they could find some way to isolate him. But for the most part, if you look at their offensive breakdown, I only know this because we talked about using blocker mover in the past. About 12% of their offense is through the bigs. So that means, 88% of their offense is through the perimeter players. So while they may have a slower pace, a much more emphasis of their offense is towards their perimeters. Now, they get a kid like I said, Hunter, or they were to get a guy like, Jackson Davis. Now, all of a sudden, they're changing how they do it. It is a versatile enough system to reward quality bigs. But any motion offense, and that's what it is. It's a version of motion. Any motion offense can be tweaked to feature your best player regardless of position, which is one of the beautiful things about motion. So, I'm a motion snob, so I'm going to say that, but that's why. I mean, he could go there and he'll get a lot of flare screen, ball screen combos where he'll have that. He gets a catch in that flare screen. The baseline side will be open. And that's what Indiana was. I thought they were drifting to that 2 years ago. They did use blocker mover much more last year and went away from the off-ball stuff this year for some reason. But you get a catch in that flare screen, the bottom part of the court is empty.
Wide open.
And the opposite big the other big is opposite.
There you go.
And if you can't rip and drive baseline, then you've got immediately comes a ball screen, which gives you another opportunity to get downhill, and it also puts you in a two-man game situation where, the screener becomes the roll man, the rim run guy, and you got two guys on that side of the floor playing basically a two-man game. So
don't be surprised to not see that at Indiana with the Larry Brown.
A lot of ways to duplicate that.
Yeah, because that's Larry Brown and Allen Iverson made that kind of famous with the Ivo, right? It's the 1-4 front. Iverson cuts from left to right wing, and so in a sense, block wide open. He has the option to attack baseline, right? Use ball screen, create a play. So I wouldn't be surprised.
And you're talking about the horns action there. A lot of the Iverson stuff was a single screen, but it was still the same type of motion where they're bringing him from one side of the floor to the other, basically up through a big man screen, and then he gets that catch with an opportunity to isolate on the one side of the floor. But no, I don't know. The thing with blocker mover isn't an inherently slow offense. Notre Dame runs it, and they play at a much faster pace. Notre Dame ran it a lot simply to get. I'm always going to forget their top players' names because I don't. But Notre Dame runs it a lot to get guys in isolation and not so much as a continuities. It's not so much as a continuous offense.
Yeah,
They'll run it 2 or 3 times through just to get was a Bonzi Colson, for example, who was a blocker for them. They did it a lot to get him wing isolations with Connaughton. So though they did it to get those 2 guys on the same side of the floor, and once they got that, then everybody else just kind of got out of the way. But I mean, Notre Dame certainly plays at a much faster pace than Virginia. So blocker mover has nothing to do with pace. Not that anybody, not that Jim, not that you were making that point, because Virginia does play at a slow pace, but it's not a function of the offense. That's a function of Bennett.
Charlie, AAU getting started. You guys, your guys back, and your ladies. Do you have women's team as well? I can't remember.
Yeah,
so you got the guys and women's is back. What do you got coming up this week?
Actually, this weekend my vow renewal. So this is a big week for Charlie, man. This is 10 years. This is 10 years of marriage, and we want to begin again, man. So that's this weekend. I'm game planning for that this weekend. So.
Well, that's a big. Yeah, you better get that one right. Don't fail. Don't drop the ball on that.
I gotta get this one right. I gotta get.
Congratulations, congratulations, Jim. What you got coming up this week?
We play this week. There's a Dino's Trigonis out of California runs a series of good events, and last year he was kind of forced to come to Indiana because Indiana was one of the few states that even played basketball last summer, and we started it earlier than pretty much anybody. So he's holding and he had a lot of success with it. So he's holding an event this weekend on the west side at Teague's. Jeff, Marcus, and their father Sean have a facility on the west side called the Factory. It's a great place to play. So we're playing an event that is based there this weekend, and looking forward to getting started. We've had about 7 practices. We've got 1 more left, and we'll be ready to go.
Good.
Sounds good, man. Everything hopefully getting back to normal, man, in that direction at least. I'm looking forward to it, but it was always fun. It's always a fun Monday, you guys. And it was again today as always, and looking forward to doing it again next week.
I appreciate it, man. I love the conversation, guys.
Good talking
to you.
Charlie Brother, thank you guys so much. Kent, thank you all as much as well. You're all the best and the biggest part of this. So thank you guys so much. Go out and do something nice for somebody today. Wear your mask until tomorrow. I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.